Welcome to my new add-on for the weeks. Okay, this gorilla does read all the comments out there, and I pay attention to my viewers. Now, I've read more than once in the comment out there that some of my viewers want more content than my usual three full episodes during the week. And because every episode takes a long time, I decided that the best compromise I could do is actually come up with a new format to give a fourth installment during the week. And I think I have decided I'll be putting this out on Thursday evenings. I'm going to call this Insolent Answers. I've decided to make this particular series about questions that I find on different dating forums, different articles, or any questions that are put in the comments by the viewers. And I will answer them to the best of my abilities. Now, this really isn't scripted. This is on the fly. And to start off with, before I start answering anything, let me bring up the fact that 79% of all my viewers are not subscribed. Hey, fam, it's not that hard. You hit that subscribe button. Come on, support the channel and let's keep this going. I could just build more content. Okay, so I compiled a couple of questions here. So let me start off by reading the questions. And because I don't want you guys bored, I'm going to put a lot of random videos and random memes going across this one. They're really not attached to it, but I don't want you to look at a blank screen all the time. So let me go with my first question. What is the best dating app to find a lifetime partner? Okay, first of all, I don't really think a lifetime partner can be found on a dating app because it's been proven that a lot of modern day marriages just don't go the distance. I mean, half of them end up in divorce. And since we've gone away from our traditional values of how we marry and also the vision of how a marriage goes, remember back in the old days, back in the 1950s, 1960s, before the entire intimacy liberation happened, high school sweethearts would meet each other and they would marry and they'd stay together for a long time. And my gorilla parents have been married for over 50 years. So to say where to find a lifetime partner, what dating app? I mean, there really isn't one. I have yet to see one dating app that promotes itself as the lifetime partner app. It's all dating and a lot of hookups. I'm sorry, that's the reality of it. So that's the best answer for that question. All right, next question. What is the best relationship advice related to either being single, dating, in a relationship, engagement, marriage, etc.? Ooh, that's a good question. Okay, so the best relationship advice related to either being single, dating, blah, blah, blah. Well, I mean, it's not a one size fits all. If you're single, like women will say one thing, men will say another thing, dating is another thing. So let me just sum it up to like the heaviest thing here, which would be a long-term relationship or marriage. I think the best relationship advice I can give anybody out there, and I've been married myself. This gorilla was hit at one point. The best advice I can give you is you have to learn to compromise. And also, when you communicate, don't communicate what you think you want him to interpret something different. Be very clear with it. For example, if like you don't like peppers, you don't go and say to the guy when he chooses something to eat. Well, I would prefer something else because I don't know how I feel about that. No, no, cut the crap. Go straight to like, hey, I don't like peppers. Okay. If you try this like interpretation communication, you're not gonna go the distance. It really is setting yourself up and setting your partner up for failure. What you should do is number one, clear and concise communication. Do not try to do the interpret what I have to say. Try to figure out what my feels mean through these words. That leads to failure. Another thing is, men and women have to understand there's a compromise, especially if you have children in the marriage. Your happiness and his happiness, men and women, both your happiness, out, 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 out. Why? Because a lot of times you have to sacrifice the things that you wanted to do to make sure that your family is good. Now, the it's going to be argued that women are the ones who like don't understand this because they are the vast majority who put up the divorce. And I'm not going to go into the reasons why because there are a bunch of reasons why. But let's just go with the statistic: 70% plus of all divorces are put in by women. So in that saying, women have to understand, hey, there is a compromise that has to be done here. My feels may be hurting, but I'd rather women should say, I'd rather my feels hurt and my children have a stable household as long as it can remain stable and healthy than my feels. Because trust me, if you break up a marriage for your feels, feelings change. Feelings don't stay the same. They're not permanent. Feelings change. Now, men, there are men out there that are, I'm not defending men. I'm not defending men. I'm just going off the statistic. Men could give a good reason why to put in that divorce. I mean, if they were like physically harming you, harming the kids, or if they have an addiction, or if they're harming the family nucleus in any way. Yes, absolutely. I understand there. But to say that men are so horrible that that's why you put in for that high divorce, I'm sorry. The number one reason most divorces are put it in, or I should say the most common reason, is financial reasons. And honestly, it's been proven that a married couple, are more stable, more financially stable than people who are single. And if you think that, oh, well, I'm having financial problems, so I'm going to divorce him and become a single mom and my finances is going to be stable. Nope, that's not the case. But I believe that's the best way I can answer that question. Let's move on to the next question. What is the best dating advice you have ever been given. Oh, whoa. I'm gonna say it's a dating advice that I didn't really follow it the way it was supposed to be followed. When I was in my 20s, I received a dating advice from older gentlemen, and they all told me that you really have to like thoroughly vet a woman. And I didn't understand exactly what they meant, but I thought, well, just talk to her and figure it out. No, but now that I'm much older, much wiser, I understand what they meant by that. When they say thoroughly vet, it doesn't mean just talk to her. It means, you have to launch an investigation at this woman. Number one, find out what her credit score is. Find out if she has any outstanding debts because they'll hide that from you. Find out if like she has had any health problems. Yeah, they'll hide that from you too. A lot of women will be so enthralled with the idea of marriage that they're going to think that these things are minor, right? It's not their fault. They're just brought up that way. As a male gorilla, you have to figure out, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to be picking up the bulk of the tab here. I got to figure out what I have to get into. I didn't do that. That was my mistake, and I paid the price for that. Also, you have to figure out, if this person has been married before, and really, investigate within reasonable means why that fell apart. Because she's just going to tell you her version of the divorce, and as we all know, there are two sides of every story, and the truth is always somewhere in the middle. Also, in that, figure out if they have like if they had problems with the law in the past, or if they had, or they're fighting some addiction that they had. There's so many different ways out there. In fact, one time I had a friend of mine who was engaged with this woman, and right just before he got married, he found out like weeks before the marriage that she had a kid, and she kept that completely secret from him. And she didn't have custody of the child. The dad had custody of the child, and they were living in another state. The best advice I was given is make sure you vet her properly, and this goes for women too. Make sure you vet him properly. I mean, I'm pretty sure you don't want to be hitched with like a bunch of problems. All right, let's go. I think I answered that question properly here. Let's go to the next question. What is the next question? Okay. How can I find out whether my partner is using dating sites? See, now this is the dating app, or they just are so confident, like, oh yeah, I'm going out with you, but I'm also on a dating app, and I'm straightforward with that. But I wouldn't go any further than that. I mean, I'm pretty sure you could probably talk to a private detective and find out the legal means of how to find this out. But other than that, I'm not going to say anything else because that really is a line that you have to be careful. All right, next question here. Why is MGTOW growing in popularity? Well, this I can actually answer. The reason that movement is growing in popularity is an amalgamy of different reasons why this is happening here in the States, maybe all across the whole West. You have a bunch of things. All right. First of all, the evident one is family court. Family court incentivizes women to get divorced because they get a lot of payouts. Now, I know ladies are going to argue that, but it doesn't matter. Women get incentivized to divorce. So that's one thing. Younger men, younger generation of men are seeing more and more of the previous generations being destroyed in family court, and they just don't want to go through that. Another reason why is because of the internet and communication. Worldwide communication is so much bigger now. Men can find channels like this one or similar ones to this one to find reasons why they should go their own way. And with that comes the passport bro, because like as you know, the original passport bros were the military. All the U.S. vets that went around got married around the world and got traditional wives that way. As the internet advanced, then communication advanced. With that, the passport bro movement grew, and that feeds into the men going their own way route. Another reason is also the Western women's mentality. The best way to reference that is modern women today feel entitled to a man's traditional roles, and he has to be traditional, but they themselves absolve themselves from their traditional role. Now, ladies, before you even argue, like, oh, that's not true. Okay, are you untouched? Are you like in your teens? Are you in your early 20s and you saved yourself for your traditional husband? Because if the answer is no, yeah, that defeats your argument right there. So what happens is these ladies no longer are holding themselves to the traditional standards, but they keep demanding men to their traditional standards. And on top of the traditional standards that they're already demanding men, they put other standards on top of that. For example, like he's got to be 6 feet tall because I want a tall man, and the average height is 5'9". Oh, that's not tall enough for me, even though I'm 5'2". But a 5'9" guy, too short for me. Top of that, oh, he's got to have like this chiseled body. I mean, he's got to look like Dwayne the Rock Johnson or Henry Cavill, and that's the reality. When you throw that on top of that, and then on top of that, oh, in the U.S., he's got, and whatever the financial equivalent is in the country that you're at, the man has got to make a lot of money. I mean, he's got to make here in the U.S. He's got to make six figures. minimum 100K. I can't live off of someone like that. Even though in the United States, the average salary is about floating around $58,000, which still that is a nice salary to have. You could have a very comfortable life like that. But no, women like no, no, they want double that. It's got to be double that. So then what happens is these men, these men that are going in this movement, what they do is they turn around, they look at the women who are asking for this stuff, and then they say, okay, you're asking all this of a man. What are you offering in return? What are we getting? And then what happens? Like, oh well, I'm bossy, or I'm a boss babe, or I'm going to demand this and that. And again, it's like, okay, I asked you what you're offering, not what you're demanding. List off the things they're offering, and the first thing is, I'm me. I'm special. What makes you special? Well, I have a job. Congratulations, you're an adult. What makes you special? I have a great personality. That's what every woman says. What makes you special? I don't know what to say. Exactly. You don't know what to say because nothing makes you special. So you add all these things together, and that actually hits the movement. And on top of that, you have these famous cases like Johnny Depp with Amber Heard and other cases similar to that one, where men see that even the top tier guys who are victims themselves lose a lot. They lose, and then they're burned in society and the cancel culture and everything. They just don't want to deal with this. And on top of that, you have all these social media creators that post up videos on TikTok or Instagram or wherever you're going to put it on saying, hey, look at this guy at the gym. He's such a creep. He's such a creep. Oh, this guy came up and talked to me. Ooh, he gave me the ick. And you have all these things. I mean, it's not one simple answer that I can sum it up in 10 seconds. It really isn't. It's a bunch of different reasons. And I even though I already mentioned family court, another thing that goes with family court is baby mama drama. If you date a woman who's already got a kid and you impregnate her and you have a kid with her, well, now you're gonna be dealing with a lot of baby mama drama, and a lot of guys don't want to deal with this. And U.S. men, or I should say Western men, who have the means to travel to another country and find a more traditional, more submissive, nicer, softer wife in that culture, in that country, are going to go that route. And we really can't blame them. So I hope this answers that question as best as it could, because that really requires a lot of moving parts in order to get men going that way. So, okay, now let's move on to today's final question. As a man, what is something that other men do that bothers you? Okay. I've used code words for these, so I'm going to say this. I think the number one thing that bothers me about men, I'm speaking as a gorilla, so this is not as a man, this is as a gorilla. When you see those beta imp chumps, those guys that, again, women have an elevated ego in the modern day dating market, and these higher demands. And the reason for that is because you have these individual men who have like no game, don't know what they're doing, or believe what women tell them, because what women say versus what they are actually attracted to are two very different things. But they'll believe what women tell them, and then they say, okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna do this, and then they put them on a pedestal, and they do everything. I mean, they tell them they're beautiful. They give them all these likes on social media. They say, oh my God, I would do anything to get a girl like you. And as the saying goes, you treat a woman like a celebrity, she'll treat you like a fan. So that bothers me. Equally to that level, what also bothers me are the men who are real life guilty of let me use code here, SA. Listen, I know that a lot of you out there say, well, this gorilla is always attacking women, or women's view, that he's misogynist. No, I actually do hold men accountable. And men who are guilty of SA, that is something that bothers me just as much as the beta imp chumps, because you have it's the two extreme sides of the spectrum. I would say you have the ones that have no backbone, no spine, and then you're the ones that are just malicious. And I can't stand both extremes. I mean, if you put them on a scale for me, they both weigh evenly. And I know that sounds kind of ridiculous, but both of them are a hurtful image to men. This is why it bothers me, because the beta imp chumps make it so much harder for the average guy to try to date, because now a woman who's a 4 believes she's a 9. And as the saying goes, 49ers, a guy who's a 5, who's above her, she believes that he's beneath her. And on top of that, in the other extreme, the guy who just can't keep his hands to himself and he needs to physically hurt a woman. And I gotta say, that's the non-consensual type of hurt. I'm not here to kink shame anyone. The non-consensual hurting women, I mean, those guys are the ones that make it hard also for the average guy, because now when you hear a famous case of that happening and it's actually true and it's proven that's true, then a lot of the women come and get into that super defensive mode, and they're thinking, oh no, 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 the next guy's going to do the same thing to me, and that is harmful, equally harmful to the average guy. And again, everything I say here, everything I answer, every point of view I go with, I always go to the point of view of how the average guy is going through these things, how he has to deal with it. All right, that was my last question for today. If my viewers out there like this, give this video a thumbs up, give it a like, share this out there. Hey, subscribe, fam, subscribe, help out this channel. And if you have any questions for me, put them in the comments or email them to me. I do read the comments. This gorilla does read everything. This is Insolent Answers, signing out.